Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I did not know that the Azov Battalion, or regiment, or now it's called brigade, was not active anymore after they got in Mariupol in May 2022. But it seems like they were out of business. Now, actually today, they're back in business. Obviously, they got the commanders from Turkey, which I think they violated. Not I think, the Russians are claiming that the Turks violated the understanding of the prisoner swap that occurs between the Ukrainians and the Russians, brokered by the Turks, and they were supposed to stay in Turkey for the duration of the war in Ukraine, but the Turks gave Ukraine, that's what they gave. They released these commanders to Ukraine. And these commanders, or some of them, are back in business. Azov Battalion, as I said, now it's called brigade. It was called regiment at one point. Nevertheless, they are back on the front. That's why I said, if you consider an organization, as you said they are, they call them, you remember the Russians claimed, and not only the Russians, this is curious to say the least, the Russians consider the Azov Battalion as a neo-Nazi organization, paramilitary group, whatever it is. And the same thing, the same words, the same terms were applied by the Westerners up till last year, February 22. And since then, they said, no, we're not going to call them neo-Tabarab, we're going to call them nationalist. Maybe when we're upset with Ukraine, we'll call them far-right, but we're never going to call them neo-Papap again. Just changing the term doesn't change the condition. Like you have fat people. Well, you don't call me fat. What do I want to call you? Big-boned or big. Well, you don't like me calling you fat? Why? Well, if you don't like it, well, change the condition, and I will not call you the way you are. Your condition fits the definition. That's the term. What do you want me to do? Pretend? Anyway, so here the same thing. These guys are nationalists. Some of them are nationalists, some of them are this, some of them are that. What's important is they are back in business. Let's see where they are deployed, if these guys are telling us. This article comes from Ukrinform, and it is from today, the 17th of August, 2023. Ukraine's Azov Brigade, now it's a brigade, returned to front. I wonder why they didn't do anything after the Mariupol. It's more than a year. They were in Tahiti, and now they need more money. The Ukrainian National Guard's Azov Brigade, now is a brigade. As I said, it was a battalion, it was something else, now is a brigade. Has returned to the front line and started carrying out combat missions in the Serebryansky forestry area near Kremina, Luhansk region. So let's see. The legendary. Oh, okay. I didn't know they have a legend now. These guys are writing all kind of things about this. So let's see where this Kremina is in Luhansk region. All right. So Kremina is. So see, this is Ukraine. This is Luhansk, Donetsk, Zaporozhye, Kherson. So it's right here, Kremina. Right here where this black thing is. Kremenaya, that's how these guys are calling it. These are the Russians, and the Ukrainians are calling it Kremina. So this is Liman here, this is Kremina. So this is one of the hottest spots, if you remember, is Kupiansk. From here, Kupiansk, Liman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, Marinka. This is where the Russians are conducting their offensive, this area. The Ukrainians down here in Zaporozhye and in Kherson, more in Zaporozhye. So here is where these guys are located, fighting right here. Bakhmut is down here, Artemovsk. So this is Kremina right here. So, Mykola Urshalovsky, acting director of the planning department at the main directorate of the National Guard said this at a briefing on Thursday, August 17, according to a Ukrainian correspondent. And I'm quoting, the legendary Special Forces Brigade. Now they're called Special Forces. I think they're special. Was reinstated and started to carry out combat missions in the Serebryansky forestry area. Azov soldiers reliably hold the lines and inflict devastating losses on the enemy in terms of manpower and equipment. This reminds me of the Immortals. Remember the Immortals of the Persian army with Xerxes and Trala? Okay, so the Immortals were over there were like legendary guys that were so good in fighting and so numerous that when you were killing them, they were keep fighting, like you would never get rid of them. That's why they were called the Immortals. And they were the elites. So even in the Second World War, there were some units. They were considered, fantastic units of this and that. And if you remember, it was, what's his name? Oh my, I can't remember his name. That guy who picked, not Sarkozy, Sekerny, let me find, Otto, I can't, Sartorsny, let me find his name. He saved Mussolini from that, if you remember, place where he was captured. I think it was in 43 or 44. He was captured and put in the mountains, and he landed. Otto Sarkozy, not Sarkozy, it sounds like Sarkozy, the French, but it's something. Let me just find it. Otto Skorzeny, right here. So he was in charge of the special troops, special operations, sabotage units. His last action in war was in the Battle of the Bulge, if you remember that one, where he tried to infiltrate the troops, the Americans, Canadians, and advancing troops, and in the Ardennes in 1945. I think it was in the winter or something, unsuccessfully. But the same thing. Sometimes you have this kind of special, like you have here the Green Berets or some others, special guys or Navy SEALs, special operation. Are legendary. So they do this for a propaganda issue, for having people's souls, so they don't. So they go and fight basically. Let's go and see what else these guys are saying. So the legendary. Inflict devastating losses on the enemy in terms. I haven't heard that yet, that they inflicted anything on anybody. Yeah, they fought in Mariupol, and then they were taken prisoners. About what, 2,500 of whomever were in those Azov style steel plants. If you remember, in May 2022, and I'm gonna show you where that is. If you remember, Mariupol, right here. This is where they surrounded, the Kadyrov's troops. They surrounded it in the Azovstal, which is right here, Azovstal steel plants, and then they were taken prisoners. According to Urshalovsky, on August 15, the brigade's gunners destroyed a Russian mortar and Bat-2 engineering vehicle in Serebryansky forestry area. He noted that both targets had been struck by their direct hits. He said that the Berdyansk sector mortar units of the National Guard provided support to Ukrainian forces during the liberation of the village of Urozainia in the eastern Donetsk region. That's the only village that, or at least the one that right now they tell us, oh, we liberated that. Yeah, you liberated that. Did you see the pictures? 3 houses, 5 cattle, and 3 dogs, and 5 fruit trees. I saw it. That was the great village they liberated. I'm not sure if they liberated it or they occupied it. It depends how the population there feels like. Anyway, they're back in business. I wonder when the Russians will capture them again, these commanders. Will they again exchange them, swap them with some others, or they're just going to be true to what they say? Because if you claim that that battalion, brigade, at this point is a neo-papa brigade, then the leaders should be the creme de la creme, right? Like Goebbels, Adolf, I don't know, people like that. So if you have people like that in charge, then what do you do with those guys? You just let them go mocha, zero? You just exchange them? I mean, they're supposed to be the worst of the worst, right? Being in charge. And you swap the commanders. I didn't like that a bit. Not because I don't care about those guys. Not my life. They are fighting a war. The other guys are fighting a war. That's their war. Let's put it this way. Even though I'm upset that they fight because of other interests, not really the ones that are given to us. Yeah, take this unprovoked and so on. So nevertheless, if you capture these guys, let's reverse the the names, the situation, and you capture Putin and Shoigu and Lavrov, and what are you going to do with them? Let them go? I mean, don't you consider them being the, you know what I mean, the worst of the worst? Yeah, you would. But anyway, here it is. The Azov Brigade is back in business. We'll see. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just. Very interesting why they were out for a year. More than a year.